Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Shri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitya Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Hari Bol Nitya Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna, thank you so much for joining this morning. These verses are like really complex and subtle subject, at least for me to understand. I tried to read and I tried to hear. I don't know how much I could assimilate. So I'm really sitting here, seeking all of your blessings assembled here, and those Vaishnavas who are not assembled here, my spiritual master and my mentor, to really seek all their blessings and Krishna's mercy for me to share whatever I understood for my own benefit of taking that knowledge deeper. So we'll start the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Paramahim Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudavadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganavadhanamritam Tam Sachivam Sahagaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Radha Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamahitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Manchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vaishnavarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye Shushukshoshvatadhanasya Vasudeva Kadharuchihi Syamahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatitharishevana Shrivatam Sukadha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Hridayantyastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Surusatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki Tadharajastamo Bhava Kamalo Bhadayashe Cheta Etai Anavidam Sitam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Grandhi Chidyante Sarva Samshaya Shriyante Jasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishvare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Texts 3 and 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Yasya vayava samsthane kalpito lokavistara tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvamujitam yasya vayava samsthane kalpito lokavistara tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvamujitam yasya vayava samsthane kalpito lokavistara tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvamujitam
Yasya vayava samsthane
kalpito lokavistara tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvamujitam
Yasya vayava samsthane kalpito lokavistara
tadvai bhagavato rupam
vishuddham sattvamujitam
vishuddham sattvamujitam
यस्या वयः संस्थाने कल्पितो लोकविस्तरा तद्वै भगवतो रूपम् विशुद्धं सत्त्वमूर्जितम् यस्या वयः संस्थाने कल्पितो लोकविस्तरा तद्वै भगवतो रूपम् विशुद्धं सत्त्वमूर्जितम् यस्या वयः संस्थाने कल्पितो लोकविस्तरा तद्वै भगवतो रूपम् विशुद्धं सत्त्वमूर्जितम् यस्या whose avayava body expansion samsthane situated in kalpita is imagined loka planets of inhabitants vistara various tadvai but that is Bhagavata of the personality of Godhead Rupam form Vishuddham purely Sattvam existence Urjitam excellence. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence, par excellence. Purport. The conception of the Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa of the Supreme Absolute Truth is especially meant for the neophyte who can hardly think of the transcendental form of the personality of Godhead. To him, a form means something of this material world, and therefore an opposite conception of the Absolute is necessary in the beginning to concentrate the mind on the power extension of the Lord. As stated above, the Lord extends his potency in the form of the Mahal Tattva, which includes all material ingredients. The extension of power by the Lord and the Lord himself personally are one in one sense. But at the same time, the Mahal Tattva is different from the Lord. Therefore, the potency of the Lord and the Lord are simultaneously different and non-different. The conception of the Virat Rupa, especially for the impersonalist, is thus non-different from the eternal form of the Lord. This eternal form of the Lord exists prior to the creation of the Mahatattva, and it is stressed here that the eternal form of the Lord is par excellence, spiritual or transcendental to the modes of material nature. The very same transcendental form of the Lord is manifested by his internal potency, and the formation of his multi-various manifestations of incarnations is always of the same transcendental quality without any touch of the Mahatattva. So this chapter began with detailed description of the Purushavataras. In the end of the second chapter, Sutta Goswami is describing to the sages about these Purushavataras and their purpose. And we have started this chapter with the description of Mahavishnu or Karanodakshaya Vishnu. These two verses are talking about Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. According to what I understood from these verses, but kindly you can share or correct my understanding at the end of the class. So here it's describing the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is considered to be the seed of all the multifarious, all the incarnations coming. And in the next verse, it's actually talking about how Kshirodakshaya comes from the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya is the person, or is the personality from whom all the incarnations come from. When we talk about all the Leela Avataras who comes to kill the demons and all these Leela Avataras. So the way we can understand Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is he is comprising of all these universal and planetary systems. He is lying on the Garbhodaka ocean, and from who actually Brahma takes birth. From Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's navel, the stem of the lotus comes, and from that lotus Brahma is born, and that's how the creation started. In the purport, Prabhupada is talking about the Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa of the Lord. It's really complex to understand. And Prabhupada clearly mentions here, this is for the neophyte devotees. And the very distinction of this Virat Rupa is, it's not mentioned with all the other incarnations of the Lord, because it's not eternal. It is a temporary manifestation, and we can understand here when the Mahatattva comes, the universal form takes place, and when the Mahatattva is withdrawn, the universal form is taken up. So in that way, it's not an eternal form, but it's not imaginary. It's just a temporary manifestation of the Lord. And why it's mentioned here for the neophyte devotees, here Prabhupada writes, to him a form means something of this material world, and therefore an opposite conception of the Absolute is necessary in the beginning to concentrate the mind on the power extension of the Lord. So if we have to understand what the form means, we only see the forms around us, and we can only perceive that understanding. We cannot really see beyond this material world, where we can see these forms with whatever human form or animal form or some kind of form, what we are seeing. So when we don't have that kind of vision to see the Lord's transcendental form, Lord is actually trying to come and appear as that universal form.
I was reading this, it's very beautiful explanation how Krishna chose to do that to show that to Arjuna. He is telling Bhagavad Gita, and as such, if we read Bhagavad Gita, and many people are presenting Bhagavad Gita, it's very profound, the message itself. So anyone can take that message and can post themselves as, spiritualists giving this knowledge. So in order to curb all those kind of pseudo-spiritualists, Krishna actually displays this form that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is giving the knowledge directly. And the explanation is given if someone has so much money or wealth like Bill Gates, or everyone has so much respect, or some athlete who has so much championships and all the trophies and who excels in their performance, or some movie actor, or who can like surpass or excel in their kind of fields, we have so much of regard and reverence for that person. We want to know more about that person. And we want actually, I was hearing the other day, Nandu was saying his friends stayed in a hotel and they saw LeBron James and they were like, oh, we saw LeBron James. So it's like having that kind of reverential and that kind of mood for whoever has in some excellence beyond the ordinary people. So we have that tendency already. So Krishna is showing this universal form beyond any kind of material, those excellences of athletes or movie stars or politicians or wealthy people. Beyond anyone can imagine, he is showing that universal form. So at least in the beginning, we will have that understanding and that reverence. God is someone really up there. He's not any mundane, ordinary person that I'm seeing here. So that is the purpose. And in second canto, Prabhupada writes in the purport, the universal form is specifically meant to cut those impersonalists who pose themselves as God. So anyone who wants a proof, we can actually say, oh, you're saying you're God, please show me your Virat Rupa. And thus you can check those kind of people. So that's the purpose. But here, so that is only a temporary manifestation of the Mahatattva or Garbhodarshaya Vishnu. It's only partial manifestation. But Garbhodarshaya Vishnu himself, we can understand, maybe we can take the example of seeing Earth's photos taken from the satellites from different angle, different perspective. We see, like, we cannot see any details, and the photos is like really, small, and everything is like kind of very small magnitude. But if we imagine the same picture with all the details in it, like we are seeing the picture of Earth from up there, and you see every single thing, including ourselves. It's like, it's beyond our imagination. So not only one Earth like that, there are many planetary systems, many universes. So that is the form of Garbhodarshaya Vishnu. If you want to really understand, it's really like beyond. So from that we can at least understand the greatness of God, how great He can be. But at the same time, in the next verse, Prabhupada very beautifully writes how only devotees can see the Lord in His real form. So this is in the beginning how we can perceive the Lord and His energies and what is happening around us. So we can go to the next verse, text 4, chapter 3. I'll just read the Sanskrit and then we'll go to the translation. Pashyantyato rupamabhatra chakshusha sahasrapado rubhujananadbhutam sahasramudha shravanakshinaasikam sahasramaulyambara kundalolasa. Translation. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusha who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms and faces,
all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. Purport. With our present materialized senses, we cannot perceive anything of the Transcendental Lord. Our present senses are to be rectified by the process of devotional service, and then the Lord Himself becomes revealed to us. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the Transcendental Lord can be perceived only by pure devotional service. So, it is confirmed in the Vedas that only devotional service can lead one to the side of the Lord, and that only devotional service can reveal Him. In the Brahma Samhita also it is said that the Lord is always visible to the devotees whose eyes have been anointed with a tinge of devotional service. So we have to take information of the transcendental form of the Lord from persons who have actually seen Him with perfect eyes smeared with devotional service. In the material world also, we do not always see things with our own eyes. We sometimes see through the experience of those who have actually seen or done things. If that is the process for experiencing a mundane object, it is more perfectly applicable in matters transcendental. So, only with patience and perseverance can we realize the transcendental subject matter regarding the absolute truth and His different forms. He is formless to the neophytes, but He is in transcendental form to the expert servitor. So here it's described how this form with multiple thousands of legs and hands and bodies. I was reading this verse with our Bhakti members. We used to read Bhagavatam at that time, but now it's stopped. So when we are reading this verse, one of the members asked, Mataji, why are we interpreting God's form in the form that we have? Because we have legs and hands, so we are imparting the same form to Krishna. So why are we doing that? So it's like really, it's talking from the previous verse. We cannot understand or comprehend that Krishna or Lord has the same form as us. We think God means some formless and like some super energy or something. So I try to explain him. It's not that we have these hands like so we are telling okay Krishna has, but it's actually the other way around. Lord has these forms, so we are coming from Him as parts and parcels. So that's how we have got these forms. Whereas our form is material and it's just going to go once the time is over. But Lord's form is transcendental. It's going to stay. Prabhupada explains it's par excellence. It's beyond anything that we can even imagine. And the other point here is we have to understand our present senses are to be rectified by the process of devotional service. So we cannot see the Lord in our current conditional state. So what is the way we can see? One of the Mataji, I think she was new to the temple, she was asking in the Sunday feast lecture, who has seen, when Prabhu was explaining about Krishna and his friends and everybody, she was like, who has seen it? So unless I can see, I cannot really believe that. But unfortunately, even in material sense, I was actually puzzled when I heard this first time, because I always used to see, at least think I have to see something in order to believe that, to understand it. Then even before I started practicing Krishna consciousness, we were talking, and then Prabhu said, did you see the Newton's laws by yourself? No, but I have been studying and I just took it for the sake. Newton knows and my science teacher knows, and they're telling. So we have that kind of faith, and in a sense, sometimes we say spirituality means blind faith, but actually it's the other way around. After the discussion, I started contemplating, and it's actually the materialistic education that needs the blind faith. It's not the spirituality. And
the spiritual science, Prabhupada again and again mentions that it's a scientific process, it's a spiritual science. It's not some XYZ, whatever you just read and believe. That's not what it is. So how do we have to understand from the persons who has actually seen that already? So that is the process. And each of us, in a way, we can relate that. I was thinking about it as I was reading this verse. When we started, probably a few months, I was talking to Amrta-keli Prabhu, and he said, "Do you want to see Krishna?" I said, "Of course I want, but I don't think I can see like that." He said, "Chant nicely and read and hear nicely. I'll promise you in 6 months you can see Krishna." I'm like, "Really? Are you kidding me?" Apparently, the way of vision, we may not see face to face, like the gopis were able to see, or the Maharaj could see, the super soul coming out and giving the darshan. But in each of our lives, we can actually experience very personal reciprocation of Krishna. And those are the times, those are the moments we say, "Yes, Krishna is right here, yes." So maybe we can take a few moments. You can share those kind of moments, if you can, so that it can help all of us increase our faith, where you could personally feel the presence of Krishna. You could literally feel that you're seeing Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
My experience once was with Radha-Madhava. That was...
Prabhu, would you? Thank you.
Right.
I think this realization of the deities is not none of the Supreme Lord or the Super Soul in our heart. I think one experience is a couple of years ago I was struggling with an incident that happened, basically, struggling with a very, very senior devotee. And, basically that devotee did something and I was struggling to understand. I just took a moment, I stood in front of Radha-Madhava and I was just saying, how do I understand this? And within a matter of a few moments, the whole perspective changed of what it is and what the whole thing is. That's when I really felt, Radha-Madhava is not just a mental form of the Lord. It is the Lord as the Supreme. It is the same Lord as the Super Soul in our heart who can give us knowledge. I think that was a very, very eye-opening moment for me at that point of time. I mean, it wasn't a big incident, it was just my mind making a big deal about it. But how Krishna can change perspectives, so I think it gave me a lot of faith in the deities.
Thank you so much.
I perceive Krishna mostly at the workplace. Maybe at some school. So sometimes I get into a problem where I have not that kind of work anytime before, but I haven't come up with some kind of solution and model. So initially I would be passing on it, like okay, but later on thinking, but it's beyond my capability. But some like it's not at the time of work, maybe during walking or some other time, suddenly the idea strikes. Okay, this is how you approach this problem to solve. So then I feel okay. So far I don't have that intelligence. How did it suddenly came up, right? And sometimes it may be, oh, maybe I'm intelligent, but that intelligence was not there before. Right? So that I kind of perceive Krishna in a some form.
The Dhamma Buddhi Yoga.
I had some kind of
mystic experience in that sense. I think it was in 2007 or so when I was writing my BTech exams, and believe me, I did my BTech for 5.5 years. And for 4 years it was such a tough exam. The pass percentage of that exam was only 3, like 100 people, right? Only 3 people who passed that. It was a distance education, and so there was one paper which was troubling me like anything. I wrote that for almost 4 times and the 5th time passed. So this particular paper, 4 times, I always thought 50 was the pass mark and I was getting only 48, 49. Because all 4 times it was like that. The 5th time I was so determined. I was practicing yoga at that time, and I wanted. I mean, people used to look at me, other students used to look at me, you are practicing something, but you are not able to get any, material result. So I was much concerned that, if I can't do this, then how will I show that I am responsible? So I was praying to Krishna, and there was one particular problem which I just left the day before the exam. I used to sleep from 9 to 3 those days, so I used to study up to 8:45 and sleep. So the next day there was this exam, and I left one particular problem which was not there in past 10 years of the exams. It never came. So I thought, okay, this one I can leave. Even if it comes, I can just leave it. But then at around, when I slept off at around 11 or 11:30 in the night, it was as if someone woke me up and said, why are you not doing that problem? I said, leave it, it's just some bad dream or something. Again at 2 o'clock in the night, as if somebody woke me up and said, why are you not doing this? So 2 o'clock I just got up and I said, I'm getting my sleep disturbed. At 2 o'clock I did that problem, I solved it, I somehow understood that. 3 o'clock I woke up, I just chanted my rounds. I had this habit of going to exam center and chanting 2 rounds. So I did that also before going to exam. I prayed to Lord. When I went to the exam, sure enough, the problem was there. It was like, wow, what is this? What is happening? And just because of that problem, that was the cutting edge for me. Like, I got the passing marks and finished the exam. I was like, what is that? Krishna can act in so many mystical ways I can't understand. So that was my experience, and that really increased my faith like multiple times.
Most of the time, I don't have any this.
I would say the realization that I am in that Kartahamiti, that's a big realization. If we can come to that awareness.
Many times when I see small things, right, how those things are happening in life, because it doesn't happen to everybody. So, the unique, like for example, one day we were discussing while driving the car, and my wife was saying, okay, somebody says, did you see God? Right? What we say, God is Krishna, no, Krishna is there. I was just saying, we were driving, so it was snowing. The car was like, the wheels were moving, and then somehow I was able to control. But everybody, every time I might not be able to control. Right? Then that is the proof that Krishna is there and trying to help us. At the same time, he was showing us to be careful, don't drive. Risky. Right? Those are the incidents like 2 or 3 I was just sharing that time. So, and one thing I always remember, the way that incidents happen in my life. Getting into the reading, and I got into the promo after 10th class, but I went to the counseling, but I didn't join. I don't know why I didn't join. I don't remember why I didn't join. I got into the promo college, but I didn't join. So I was little thinking bad about it. Then a lot of people were suggesting not to go, and some teachers and all, but still I determined to go, and I didn't. I thinking that I will not be able to get into engineering, but somehow again I completed, I got into engineering. So then when I got into that initial, here I was able to somehow connect with devotees. I didn't realize that. Then I mean, later I came here, Chicago, right? I mean, after how many years? So I mean, I could have gone anywhere, the way what situation is, but I was doing the, I mean, the way the incidents happen, right? I think that it is Krishna's mercy is directing.
All the way up.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. I will share my first experience when I got Krishna's really witnessing all the things going on in that heart. I was a student that time in IIT, and then I had this picture of Guru and Lord in my room, and once I was going home, I was going to catch the train. Then I went to the bus which will take me to, and then I sat there and I said, "Oh, I forgot to pray to the Lord. Big of you." And then I just realized that I felt like that I was flustered. Then I noticed this other person sitting next to that side in the bus, and then he was having his bag like in his lap. What he did, he turned it upside down, and then that was the picture of that was in my room. I oh Krishna, he just heard my thought at that moment. At the time I don't know what Paramatma being the same in that, his heart and my heart. Much later only I realized that thing, but I was really like, thanks very much. Hare Krishna.
How old are you, Mataji? How old are you at that time?
At the time I was
Teenager?
no, I was
24
or something, because I was in my PhD at the time.
Mataji is not really one incident. I actually find that whenever I'm in a problem, somehow I feel that Krishna gets me through. And this really started a couple of years back after my father passed away. We had so many problems. And through every step, I think it was just Krishna who held, our family together. Even now, I used to get so upset at work at little things, and now those don't even really matter anymore. So I think the whole perspective. I just see Krishna's hand in everything actually now. So, not just.
Hare Krishna. There are so many incidents that I feel close to Krishna or perceive. I don't see him, but then I can feel that he is there. Everybody knows I have a lot of mental problems. But somehow he gets me through, and I'm here because I tell you my consistent experience every year during that time of the month, during those 5 days, I tell you. So I've been doing the Bhishma Panchaka during the Kartika month in the last 5 days. From Panduranga realizations, I realized I started following that. And then when I was doing the 5-day Ekadasi, just fast until noon and do Ekadasi after that, just for 5 days. So it's not very hard, I'm not fasting for 5 days, it's not too much, Bhishma. So during those 5 days, I see some of my faults. I'm able to see every year something new this year, something new next year. I'm scared. So, but after that 5 days, I see some truth, in front of me. Like, for example, I have a lot of problems with people because I'm too straightforward. and a lot of people don't like it. Then I don't understand because they're not always truthful with me because they're afraid or something, I'm intimidating or something. So I pray to Krishna, please reveal their intention to me and I will see it. I mean, it's not like I'm not demanding, but it's to help myself. Last year, I was going through a really tough phase. Priyanka has this episode right after Bhishma Panchaka. So I was praying during that 5 days. What happened was, this is very personal. My husband, through Bhagavatam, through Bhagavatam book somewhere, I heard that sound downstairs. I did not realize it is a Bhagavatam book he threw. I heard he was angry. He went upstairs. I heard a sound. I didn't know. I know he's angry. He does something, right? I didn't realize it was that big during those 5 days. And then when after I got like after certain time I would go when he's angry and all. So after certain time I went upstairs and checked. I have a separate temple room in that house. I don't mix and all. So in that temple room I saw the Bhagavatam was upside down on the floor, open. And then that book was supposed to be in Priyanka's room. How come that came here and then I realized that sound was. I felt so, there are situations where you're not supposed to tolerate when you are offending devotees or towards Krishna or anything, right? But my situation is different. I am in a subordinate position. I cannot not tolerate. I am supposed to be in a tolerant situation. And that was conflicting thing. I didn't shout or I didn't ask, I didn't even talk about it. But I prayed. I was crying and I prayed, Krishna, is this what you want me to do? I was seriously asking, is this what you think I'm eligible? And after that 5 days ran, Priyanka had this depression episode and the whole thing happened and I'm out of the house. It's how many months now? 9 months. That it's just every year during Bhishma Panchaka that was so that whole month you are so close to the mother, right? The baby mother. And then, every day you're doing the arati and then you're so connected in that month, especially. And then 5 days was really, I was shaken. That changed my life. That I can explain that he is there, he is listening. Problems will not go away. From what I understand, we have to learn to see through and make the choice, hard choice. And I think he helped me through it. I will not be able to do that, make the decision on my own. Otherwise. That's my experience.
Thank you so much for sharing such a personal experience, Mataji. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. It's really helps each of us in deepening our faith. We may have one learning there and here. One thing I have been realizing, definitely as we start practicing devotional service, we have these moments. What we have to do is really capture them, freeze them in our heart, just put them in a photo frame and just keep it very safely in our heart. Because these are actually rare. In one sense, just understand what qualification do I have for Lord to, personally come and give such experience. I don't have any qualification. I can list down a number of disqualifications I have. But somehow, because of the causeless mercy of Prabhupada and his representatives, and just a little bit of tiny sincerity, I'm trying to follow their instructions. Krishna is so merciful. He's just beyond our imagination how kind and merciful he is. One thing I was just thinking, reading through these two verses, these two verses are explaining how great he can be, and really going beyond our imagination. On the other hand, we hear that he is smaller than the smallest. So for the typical material people, it's only in the greatness, abundance, we respect people with who have such qualities or who have such abundant wealth, everything. But it's only people who are in the devotional service and in the spiritual consciousness we can understand Lord is not only greater than the greatest, He is smaller than the smallest. He is even present in the atom, like mosquito and the elephant both have the super soul accompanying with them, and that's where we can really see Krishna, so He can do anything. And I was really touched by the statement as I was preparing, hearing this. Krishna's greatness is not in really being greatest of the greatest or smallest of the smallest. It's just part of His opulences. But what is really very touching or impressive about Krishna is His generosity and kindness to allow whatever the living entity desires. Even though He has that supreme control, He allows each of us desire whatever we want to do. And even more than that, even the non-devotees who are not really thinking of Krishna, they are also getting benefited because of the generosity. How? Because how much ever time you want to continue our Askaldam for however long, Krishna is alone, He's not indifferent with our free will. All through His sanctioning, He's making sure things are aligned. I want some kind of whatever sense gratification. I cannot do on my own, I can only desire. But Krishna is so loving that He is actually manifesting. We were discussing in Father Gopal Prabhu's class last week how Krishna is, even to the point that we feel, why is Krishna doing? It's not good for me. But when we have that consciousness, as Bhakti Priya Mataji is sharing, he can actually take the control. We can see in Arjuna's case how when his consciousness changed and said, I'm confused, I don't know what to do, please help me. And Krishna really took charge of that. If we can really understand and go to that extent to surrender, of course it's a gradual process. We cannot just say, okay, Krishna, I surrender today. We cannot do that without conditioning and everything, but gradually, step by step, particularly taking each of these experiences, and it's really, all of us are not like, at least I can speak for myself, not in a pure devotional platform, but still we are able to see Krishna, as Prabhupada is explaining, who have the eyes anointed with that love, Primanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanina. Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. They can always see, Sadaiva, always. It's not like one seeing and not seeing the other time. Always they can see. So that is where we really want to come. And it's really sweet just thinking of, Vrindavan and their intimate relationship. So that is where we really want to go, and by our Acharya's mercy, we are actually getting to hear all this, which is evoking our attraction to really go there. So we have to really capture these moments, how Krishna is merciful in giving these experiences, this reciprocation in our life, and through that, the purification happens, and when we are sincerely striving, wherever we are. That's what I've been realizing. I used to beat myself up so much. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Why this problem is there? All sorts of anarthas come. And the one thing, Mataji, as you were sharing, you keep seeing whatever is in the heart. His Holiness Rambar Swami Maharaj says, understanding that you have a problem, 50% of the problem is solved. Just getting to that awareness, Prabhu, you are sharing, if I don't even know that I'm in the doership mentality, I keep going for hundreds of years, hundreds of lifetimes. But at least having that awareness, seeing things through the Shastra Chakshu, when we hear, after we go back and do something, this thing comes up. Hey, wait a minute, why am I doing this? At least that awareness will help us in the next experience to to change the course. So that's how we can pray to wonderful devotees who are guiding us, our spiritual master, and Prabhupada is always there to shower his mercy. We can gradually be able to go to that stage of anointing our eyes with the power of Godhead, by Krishna's mercy one day. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really very beneficial for me. I hope it's useful for your time also. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
One quick announcement. Tomorrow I'm scheduled the Amrta-keli class.